It's working, it's filming.
Yes, thank God. Always be mindful of that.
Yes.
All right then. What are we doing?
Vintage bird rice papers.
Can you read upside down?
Only because I knew what we were doing, not...
How about that? Can you
awesome.
tell what that says?
Yes, I would love to do that, thank you.
Can we do a blooper reel?
I think we just did.
Yeah. Okay.
Here we go.
All right. So it's vintage bird rice papers. Action, take 13.
Okay. So Elizabeth, as you know, creates collage. And one of her more recent, and I don't know, we don't know when this video is going to go live, so recent might be a relative term at that point.
Sure.
But one of her recent sort of mini series of projects was, you explain it because I'm going to screw it up.
The vintage birds rice paper?
No, the collages where you use the strip.
Yeah, I did some farm animal
That's
collages
what it
for an animal themed show, and I did them all horizontal with a strip of abstract collage on one edge.
Yes.
And then the animal on a stenciled background. So today I'm going to show you how you can use my new vintage birds rice papers to create that same effect. And you don't have to do farm animals or birds. You could do flowers, or you could do bees, or you could do leaves, or you could do something from nature, but the concept is the same. So I got these new bird rice papers, which we're gonna show you in a few, but here's a little 6x6 that I did create with them. And I had so much fun making this little thing. And I think the cool part about it is that you can make it in not that much time.
Well, especially if you use the bird rice, one of the birds from the bird rice papers.
Oh yes, thank you. This I did not draw. This is one of the vintage birds from the bird rice papers, but I embellished it. I tinted the whole thing a dark brown and I colored it with Stabilo Woodies. So
yes, so there's ways to use it. Now, my options are a little bit less artistic. Mm-hmm. So one of the things that I did do was I have a white card blank that I put this on the background, and when I take it home, I might actually
add some color.
Put a sentiment on it and add some color and send it to her. We'll see how that goes. I mean, I have the best intentions, but the follow through generally is pretty
not
bad.
Hold your breath.
Yeah, no, there'll be no breath holding.
No
here
holding breath. Yes,
and
I've gotten 2 cards from Barb in the lifetime of our friendship, and one of them was a sympathy card, which you had to send.
Yes. The other thing that you can do is you can work on a journal page or a journal page spread. And again, I'm kind of mimicking what Elizabeth talked about, where she divided this into sections. So don't think that you're limited to anything. Use your imagination, kind of let it go. Cut them up, chop them up, tear them up, because that's the fun thing. With rice paper, you can cut it with scissors or a rotary cutter or, you know, a paper cutter. You can tear it or you can wet tear it, so you get some really soft edges that really do fade away into the background. So keep your options open.
Always keep your options open.
That's right.
Right.
Want to go do it?
Yes, let's go show them how to keep their options open.
Okay.
All right then.
There are 6 different papers in this set of vintage birds. I'm going to show you each of them, and then I'm going to show you, you're going to see me attempt what Elizabeth is going to show you in the next segment. I wanted you to understand that you don't have to limit yourself to collage the way that she does. You don't have to limit yourself to anything. Use these however it works for you. So this is Vintage Birds number 1. This is Vintage Birds number 2. So there are 3 black and whites in this set and 2 that are old book pages. This is Vintage Birds number 3. This is Vintage Birds number 4. And this is the last of the black and whites. This is Vintage Birds number 5. So one of the things that you can do, for those of you who enjoy making cards, this is a card blank that's just white. I haven't done anything else with it. Again, we have limited amounts of supplies to work with, so there always is that to take into consideration. But this is ready to go. I could put another layer on this. I could find a bird focal image that maybe comes from one of the other rice papers. It could be anything. It doesn't have to be a bird. It could be any natural kind of event, natural thing, a big old flower, a tree, whatever.
An earthquake.
There you go. Sure, she loves to make fun of me. And then one of the things that you can do is you can kind of watercolor these. I used Woodies, and initially I colored them in a little bit more, and then I whined when the color bled beyond the edges of this one, and she said to me, stop being a coloring book artist and just color and let it bleed and let it go. And so this is my sad attempt to do that. But you can do whatever you want. These are woodies, so they blend. If you have watercolors, you can use them. And then when it comes time to put them in a journal, I tore a section. So I'm kind of mimicking Elizabeth's 1/3, although I'm working over a page spread. And then I brought these guys in from the left, and I have all this area in the center that I can then do something with. Now, what that thing is, I don't know yet, but I have this ready to go when I get home and I can play with it. So 5 Vintage Birds rice papers. And as I said, in the next segment, you'll see Elizabeth do some fun things.
So I am super excited about this video today because oftentimes people ask me about how I would use the product or the tool or the technique or the concept that Barb and I are working on. How would I use that in my artwork? So today I took advantage of these fabulous bird rice papers to create for you a sample of how I would use it in my artwork. And it is a technique or a concept that I have used in recent artwork. So I recently created this really super fun goat, and I worked on a composition where I divided the board into thirds and took 1/3 along one side and created sort of an abstract collage, and then did a stencil pattern and then put the subject in, I don't want to say in the middle, but in this area with part of itself bumping into the collage section. So the papers that I am using here on the left-hand side for the collage, abstract collage section are the bird rice papers plus a few roll-off prints from the gel plate. The other neat thing about that I forgot about, I guess you would say, is that the rice papers are pretty translucent. So you do see the paper below them when you overlay them. So that's kind of cool. You get that kind of effect. So this is an 8x10 gesso board. So this is what we decided was 3.3.
About that.
About 3.3. So it's 1/3 and this is 2/3. So that was how I did this. The next one is a 6x6. So in this one, I actually used the bird from the rice paper, colored him with Stabilo woodies, which was so much fun. And this is what I'm talking about, where the subject is in the main stenciled area, but part of it overlays into the abstract collage section. So this is 2 inches because this is a 6-inch board. So it's 1/3. And then this guy just came out of the rice paper. Like I said, I painted him with a translucent brown and I colored him with the woodies and had a lot of fun with that. So I've got a 6x6 board here so that I can show you how I did this. And I've got one of my patterns for layering stencils.
I want to say that's named Daisies.
I want to say that I think you're right, Daisies. And I'm going for a small pattern. You can see that I also did a small pattern on this one because it's a small area. So I wouldn't want to have a stencil that had a big giant pattern that was going to be so bold and forward that it would be too much in this small area. So for these small pieces, I'm suggesting using a small pattern stencil that is just sort of going to give some texture to the background, but not compete with your subject. So before I get into stenciling the background, though, I'm going to glue down these pieces and parts of the bird rice papers and some roll-off sheets. The cool thing about this is you'll see when I say pieces and parts, this is the blue jay's legs and his tail. And so you could use scraps, and this is some of the, leaves from another one. So I grabbed these as I was cutting up the other pieces to do other things. These are like scraps, and they make a great collage section for the pieces and parts. So I thought that was a great way to use every bit of the rice paper. So I'm putting out, I had a feeling this was going to happen. It's not open. Oh, dear God. Who's in charge of opening bottles?
Well, evidently it wasn't either of us.
So I got some matte gel medium here that I am putting out. And I'm not worried about the matte sheen of this because if this abstract collage is a little bit toned down, it's actually kind of a good thing, you know. So I might even be inclined to put some matte medium over the whole thing just to sort of make it a little bit more subtle. The other thing you can do to make it a little bit more subtle is to put a little bit of translucent paint over it. Like a zinc white you could put over it to tone down some things, or Titan buff to sort of just make it look a little more subtle. So that is why I'm using matte medium, which is not something I usually use. Okay, so I'm putting this little piece of the rice paper with the berries from one of the birds right there. And I'm using my glue brush here that I love so much, my Princeton Catalyst glue brush. I like this because the bristles are very rigid, so I can get a good pressure to get everything down flat. See, I wanted that new bottle, Barb, because this one is spitting.
There's a partial that's probably got a little bit more in it.
Okay.
I don't have anything to unclog that one with.
Barb is also in charge of priming Posca pens when they're new.
She hates to prime Posca
I hate
pens,
priming
so
Posca pens. Yep. I don't know.
She's the artist. We humor her.
Yeah, I've always said I want to hire an assistant to prime the Posca pens. It's not one of the things I like to do. So that is asking for a little bit more adhesive. Okay, so we're going to put this down. This is just a little roll-off sheet. And actually, I chose this blue color out here, which I just painted a solid blue color. I chose it to go with the blue that's in this roll-off sheet for some nice color harmony. So this is pretty close to that. Okay, so now, and this is a 6x6, like I said, and the other one is an 8x10, but the goat artwork that I showed you is actually 18x24, Barb. So
Big goat.
It's a big goat in a large format. So you are certainly not limited to small format with this, but you know, the small format can be created in less time. So there's more instant gratification. Drive through to the second window, Barb. Just getting your stuff right away. We all love instant gratification.
Well, and sometimes there is not just the gratification, but the sense of accomplishment that goes with getting something finished. And obviously that doesn't come for a longer time when you're working with a big project.
This is true. Yeah, my goat took me like days and days and days. Days and days. Look at that rice paper disappearing so nicely over the colored background. I love that. It's almost like tissue, Barb.
Yeah, it works out pretty well where it's white, or excuse me, where it looks like it's white and it's not printed white, it's just the paper itself.
Yeah, so I love that, the way it just kind of allows that rice paper to show through. So now I'm going to put this little bird's head in here. He's on the off-white paper, which is also nice because it blends with the color that shows through. I just love this overlapping and blending stuff. I had this house out. I love this birdhouse, but I'm going to save that for another thing. And the blue jay is a bird from New England that we do not have here in California, in Northern California. We have a scrub jay. He's kind of similar. But anytime I see the blue jay, boy, I think of Massachusetts. In New England, Barb and I are both from New England, so we got that going for us.
That's right.
Whoops. Grab that. So again, blue jay pressing out all the wrinkles with that brush, and blue jay just laying over both the cream background and the gel print. And oh, somewhere I had a little square of paper that I'm sure got swept up like it was unnecessary.
Sorry about that. Might have been me.
I think it was me.
Possible.
I think it was me. So here's another little piece of that roll-off sheet that I thought I would overlap, come out of the 2-inch section. Why not?
Why not?
Right? Okay, so we got all that on there, and this is dry, and I painted this with a solid of sky blue light. Oh, this is a hot commodity. We love this color, and I think this is the only tube. Did you open that new box?
I did not, so we have
Oh, so we have more.
If we need to go fetch some more, we can.
Well, this is a full tube.
Oh, well then
this is usually an empty tube around here. We have colors that we like, and it's obvious.
Yeah, you might notice that we lean towards certain colors on a fairly regular basis.
Yes. So I'm adding white. This is a zinc white. I meant to get a titanium white, but that's okay. The reason why I like titanium white over zinc is it's more opaque, so it's gonna it's gonna lighten your color more. So let me see if I can have one of those.
That big tube right in front of you that's white is titanium.
Oh, here we go. I do like the titanium white. So what I'm trying to accomplish here is to lighten this color by a couple of shades so that I can put that stencil color over it, the stencil pattern over it, and it shows up. Oh, that's probably a little bit too light, Barb. Isn't that always how it goes?
Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose.
Right.
Sometimes you're the bug, sometimes you're the windshield.
There, that's a little better. It's probably about the same. All right, we're just gonna go with that. So, because I wanna show you here, it's subtle, you know. I mean, but you know, you could go a little more bold, but this is subtle. I just added a little bit of white to the base color to create the stencil color. So I'm gonna put this stencil over here. I could put this line here to protect that, but, okay. And I have my mini ink blending tool with the removable foam. And if you're efficient enough and quick enough, after you use this, you can wash these out and reuse them at least once, sometimes twice, okay? So we're gonna put all the paint in here and we're gonna hang on to this and we're gonna apply it in a circular motion. I used to dab, dab, dab it. I think the circular motion works better. Okay, so, and it's okay if some of it goes over the edge of your 2-inch margin. That just softens the edge. You might even want to bring some of it in intentionally, you know, to kind of blend the two parts together slightly. So I brought it in there. Maybe I bring a little in here. And then before you take the stencil off, you want to have a look and make sure you didn't miss any spots and you got everything where you want it. Actually, I think I want to bring this in here even a little bit more. I love that. Look at that, Barb.
Yep.
Okay, so now that is how you create a fabulous background for a bird or a flower. You know, it could be anything. Nature, could be some leaves on a branch. And then compositionally, what I really like is when this subject kind of bumps into that abstract edge just a little bit, because that compositionally that crosses over and brings all of it together rather than having just this section and that section, if that makes sense. So, wow, I love that.
You did good.
Yes. Now I have all this to clean up. Woo!
Well, you almost wore the blue. Well, you like that blue, but maybe not quite that much.
Yeah, no, maybe not quite that much. Fun.
Yeah.
So I came in today with my Holly Hobby dress on, and I said to Barb, what do you think about my Holly Hobby look? And she said, I don't know who that is. Now, I expect that from my kids, but you, I figured we are a similar age.
Oh,
and
I'm older than her, let's face it.
well, come on. So I had to Google Holly Hobby and show to Barb that she had the big plaid, the plaid dress. And I'm not wearing the big bonnet, though.
No, you're not. And
I can't
I think that
pull
that's
the
an
full
F. An F for the outfit because you're missing the bonnet.
Oh, I was like, what is she saying now? What is going to come out of her mouth now?
It's a letter grade.
Right. Thumbs down because I don't have the bonnet. But, you know, I could be, that just could be too much.
You don't know unless you try.
Right. This is true. And I do have several hats. So the next time I see you, I will wear some sort of hat with my Holly Hobby dress.
Yes.
Yes.
And in the meantime, you can be playing with the Vintage Birds rice papers.
Vintage Birds and Vintage Holly Hobby. It's a vintage festival. This is our last video.
No, it's our next to the last.
It's the penultimate video.
Yes, and we're
punchy.
Loopy, yeah.
Well, all right then. We'll see you back here next week.